Hey guys, welcome back to Wick's Garage episode 9. I am your host, Dwayne Wick. This week, guys, I'm going to disassemble the steering rack as well as take you through the thought process behind these 16-inch MOMO Magnesium racing wheels, how I'm going to fit them to the car, and my backup plan. So stay tuned. Alright guys, today I'm going to rebuild my steering rack. So first thing I'm going to do is clean it up, make it easier to work on. Basically, I just have purple power, a little bit diluted, in a spray bottle here. Just gonna get this middle section. It's covered in grease and dirt, caked on dirt. And I like to keep my old toothbrushes. They come in handy when you're doing this kind of work. Just spray it down real good, soak a little bit. Get some hot water going. Alright, we got most of the grease off. I probably am going to bead blast the housing anyway. Can't stand working in oil and grease. Gets all your tools all jacked up. Let's pull off this outer housing here. Looks like about a 13. Some shims, washer, spring. Like a couple of shims there. Alright guys, today I did fully disassemble my steering rack. There was a lot of slop in the steering wheel when I first got the car. That's a bushing up at the steering column, but I also wanted to take apart the steering rack itself, inspect it, clean it, and reassemble it with new parts. The biggest thing I found was this rubber clutch that basically connects the main steering arm to the steering rack itself. It kind of acts as a vibration buffer. You can see here how much it's rounded out on both sides. Those holes I don't think should be that big. A lot of the other parts are not listed in the Porsche catalog. They just basically list the steering rack. The bearings are universal, so I can replace this one, and I can replace this needle bearing as well. This one felt like there was something wrong with it, kind of crunchy, so I just thought for $4 I'll replace that bearing. It does press onto the end of this pinion gear here. Everything else looks fine. There's some shims that go on these outer covers. I'll probably just clean those up and reuse them. I'm gonna bead blast the housing. And this ridiculous $95 piece is a dust cover that sits right on top. It makes the transition from underneath the car up to the trunk area, covers up this vibration bushing thing, keeps dust out of that area. This is kind of an interesting part. This is a needle bearing encased in a rubber housing, and that goes right here on the steering arm. All right, so that's the steering rack all completely blown apart. I'll get all the parts that I need, put it back together, and set it on the shelf. It'll probably be one of the last things I put back on the car, but it'll be nice that I won't have to wait on it. All right, guys, so the story on these MOMO 16-inch Magnesium GTP wheels. I saw them on the forum for sale. I said, no way, I can't make these work. I kept going back to look at the pictures. I just thought they were so unique, so cool. I love the MOMO script. They even have right in the casting, MOMO stamped right into the casting. I thought that was totally awesome. This one's a 10.5 by 16. That one is a 13-inch wide wheel by 16, of course. Now, to make them work on my car, I was gonna have to do custom center lock adapters. So 2 of the wheels are over on the East Coast at a CNC shop getting custom center lock adapters being made. I can bolt those right onto my hub. And when I want to run a more street-friendly wheel and tire combination, I can pull that adapter off and be cruising down the road. These are mostly going to be a show wheel type situation. Now, in order to get these things to fit, I'm going to have to mock up the suspension and pretty much custom build the flares to these wheels. They're that unique. They present a lot of challenges. One of the challenges is finding rubber to put on these wheels. Now they're 16-inch, so the only thing you can find is a vintage race tire because it's so wide. So I'm looking at Avon, BFG, Mickey Thompson, Pirelli. There's only a handful of companies in the world that make a tire that will fit on this wheel. I think they're all slicks at this point. There is not a streetable tire, so that puts me into show territory with these wheels. So that's why I have to have a solution for running a more streetable tire and wheel setup. Still, I love the way they look. And of course, you guys know me, I'm all about lightness. So I love the fact that they're super light, they're magnesium. Also, with them being an old magnesium race wheel, of course, there's a lot of, people will reach out to you and say, oh, Dwayne, you can't run those vintage race wheels. I think it's a valid concern. I do want to Zyglow these, which is a process by Magnaflux where you pour in a penetrating glowing liquid and then you put a black light up to it to see if you can see any cracks. There's also another penetrating red liquid that I can spray into there, and then you spray a white liquid over the top that turns into a powder, and that will show you cracks. I do want to check these for cracks. Also want to check the roundness. They've clearly been raced, so I need to make sure that they'll hold air as well as not completely wobble when I drive down the road. So that's the story on these guys right here. It's going to be a challenge to see if I can get them onto the car, whether or not they're really going to fit or not. There's a lot of different factors at play, so stay tuned to see how this all pans out. Alright guys, thanks for watching this week's episode of Wick's Garage. I want to thank Ian over at Europrimitive for hooking me up with these awesome vintage wheels. If you guys have a BMW, Volkswagen, or Porsche,
and you're looking for some vintage BBS or wheels like this, check them out. I'll put a link in the description. Also want to thank AASE Sales, link in the description, as well as TI Porsche products. As always, check them out on Instagram. Thanks so much for watching this week, guys. Next week, I'm going to keep it a surprise for you guys, so be sure to tune in. Thanks for watching.